9th, 2019. May we have a roll call, please?
Chairman Stanton.
Present.
Vice Chairman Arnett.
Present.
Trustee Mills.
Present.
Trustee Newell.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
We do have a quorum. Looking for approval of the minutes of August 5th, 2019.
So moved.
I'll second.
Anybody notice any corrections or deletions that need to be made? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. August 19th, 2019, we had a special meeting. We have minutes for those.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Thank you. Anybody notice any corrections or deletions that need to be made for that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. New business. Number 1 is request approval of an ordinance declaring village-owned land as surplus and authorizing public notice of negotiations to acquire and redevelop village property.
So moved.
I'll second.
Kevin, do you want to explain what this is all about?
Sure. The village purchased this property back in 2012 with TIF dollars and had an agreement previously with Sterling organization who owns the Jewel Shopping Center. We are since out of agreement with them, and so we're looking to take this back to the market to try and find a new developer to build something on the properties.
Mr. Norris?
On the dais tonight, there is a replacement ordinance which has a corrected legal description. So we would request that the motion maker include that it's the recommendation and the motion is to approve the amended ordinance with the revised legal description.
I'll go along with that.
I as well.
The second too? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Trustee Palafis?
Treasure Pond said he thought he could have some success in helping us with this parcel. Can we reach out to him?
He'll be sent the information once it's approved at the board meeting next Monday night.
Okay. That was all.
Else with any other questions up here? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as seconds, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Second is new business, discussion of regulations to consider the raising or keeping of chickens on residential property within the village.
So moved. Oh, discussion.
It's just discussion. Dan, you're handling it?
Yes. You'll recall several weeks ago, a resident came, who happens to be here tonight as well, requesting that the village look to allow the raising of chickens on private property. The board requested that staff go back and put information together and come back to committee. So tonight you have on your agenda a packet of information on the subject. Staff has done some research on it. We did a Northwest Municipal Conference survey, which is attached. The resident also provided a survey that he had done. That is also attached. And then we did a little more research onto communities that are more local and adjacent to Hoffman Estates. So we had some neighboring communities, how they handle the issue of chickens. And when you look at that information, all combined, there is 34 communities that are surveyed, and of them, 18 prohibit allowing chickens, and 16 allow chickens to be permitted. So it's fairly split. When we looked at it from a staff level, Development Services did raise some issue just from a staffing and a workload perspective. They would have to, if it was to go through, there would be some permitting of it, and then there would have to be any follow-up complaints if we did receive complaints on it. So from a workload standpoint, that may increase the workload in Development Services. But if the committee was looking to permit chickens on property, we did put some information together on potential ordinance. There's a shell ordinance that runs through information that would help minimize any nuisance complaints or any nuisance factors of allowing chickens that we did provide. And if you were looking to have an ordinance drafted, staff can do that, and then we would have to send it through to planning and zoning and go through that process for the other text amendments that would be necessary to allow it. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
I noticed that one of the regulations that is talked about is a maximum number of chickens, but also no roosters. And what's the deal with no roosters? I thought chickens needed roosters in order to lay the eggs.
They don't. Hens or chickens are the ones that do the egg production, and roosters are not required for that.
I thought there was this, I'm learning something new.
It's like most things, we're really not necessary.
His daughter's a biology
The
teacher.
things that you learn in researching municipal government.
Really?
Yeah. But the roosters are also the ones that would make more noise, and that's why well, actually, I haven't seen any community that allow roosters. Roosters are almost universally prohibited.
So many jokes there.
All right. Trustee Gata.
Yes, by the way, the hens that lay do not need the rooster at all for it. But do you know what, though? I read throughout the whole thing, and as far as all the different people and municipalities that do allow it and that don't allow it, but I come out of the poultry business from many, many years ago and have gone to the poultry farms in Missouri and so forth. Somebody to be doing this in their backyard, and if they have less than an acre or 2 acres or so, the big thing is not only the odor, right, but you have predators. I mean, and especially around here, we have red-tailed hawks, and they love chickens, right? You have, and of course, the coyotes. There's no question. The predators is a big thing, no matter where they're going to be putting them, and they'll know, and they'll come out for it. But I don't think it's me personally, I don't think it's a good idea at all, unless I was living on 5 acres and I didn't have a neighbor that close to me, all right, that would be one thing, but that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Well, I second your opinion, but that's besides the point. Anybody else here with any other questions or feelings up here? No, really?
Yes.
I agree with both of you. I would be more concerned about the predators in the area, the coyotes that we have that are all around, the skunks, I would just be.
Trustee Mills.
Unfortunately, looking at this, a lot of the towns that do allow it are the bigger, the ones that are more farm community type towns
Good
yet.
point.
Unfortunately, our area is much more urban, and I just don't see how it could fit into our areas, and especially given the issue of odors and predators. That's a real big problem. We've got enough problems with them now. I think it would just attract more. So unfortunately, I would not be in favor of it either.
Yes, Trustee Newell.
Okay, I agree with all three of you, and it's, I guess, sometimes what you can call a fish tank idea. It sounds really good, but there's a lot of work in keeping up the chickens and their health, and then what do you have to do to dispose of them if they get ill, because sometimes they get ill and one gives something else to another one, and now you've got this issue going on, and now you got to get the Board of Health involved, and I'm not in favor of it. I'm sorry. It, like you said, if you had 5 acres or you were, on a farm, maybe, but we're so close here. And then what if someone has a pet animal, like a dog, and all of a sudden says, hey, now let's go visit. You're giving me kibble, I want meat, So just saying. So I'm not in favor of it at all.
Thank you. Does anybody from the audience wish to address us? Please step forward. Want to give your name and address, please?
Is this going to beep again today, or
You can raise that up higher.
is that good? Daniel Kowalski, and did you say address as well? 1015 Lancaster Court. And I was the one trying to put forward this initiative to be able to allow chickens in our communities. One thing that I think a big misconception is that, with this proposal, I would ask for raising a lot of them, I suppose. I could treat them, or the way I look at chickens is like people look at dogs. I look at them as pets. So one of you mentioned that, they could be a problem when they die or there's a sickness involved. Well, when things happen like that to our pets, we do take them to a vet or we dispose of them properly in that matter. Another thing somebody brought up here was the predators. And I do agree as far as the predators could be brought in if there's large quantities, especially that you mentioned that you're from the poultry industry. If there's large quantities of them and concentrated in one area. But as you've noticed in this proposal here, there's about 25 licenses that would be issued. And I really doubt that those 25 licenses would be issued in the same area. They probably would be scattered throughout the village to the hobbyists that do keep these animals or would like to keep these animals legally within the village limits, I suppose. The predators is something that I would really disagree based on that fact that they would not be concentrated in one area, especially with a proper way of housing them, as far as building a correct run that would protect them from birds like hawks, for example, or other animals that could come into the yard. Saying that predators will always be there, no matter if you have a cat, dog, or another animal that you house in your house, they will always be around. I think that should not be something to really focus on as we're looking at this. I think that overall, it could improve the community quite a bit. Going through the process and getting the information for this, I have started talking to a lot of members of the community that are pro and against. And a lot of times there's a lot of misinformation based on what they've heard and what they read incorrectly, I suppose, in a lot of cases, but, on how the chickens behave and what are the things that they should expect and worry about. You've mentioned the roosters. It is definitely a good idea to keep them out. They are allowed, but to object with that, I suppose dogs are allowed too. They keep barking more than a rooster would crow during the day. So, there are other things that you could look into as we're talking about this whole ordinance. I personally don't feel that chickens are much different than a cat or a dog. And really, that's where I stand with this. I understand there are many concerns as far as zoning and staffing involved. But if done correctly, I don't think a lot of additional manpower would be needed to be able to maintain a proper permit or proper residence with a permit to be able to check for proper enclosures and such. Village inspectors come and check building procedures all the time, and that would be incorporated within the permit and servicing application, I suppose. But that's really all I would like to state about that.
Thank you for your opinion. Appreciate it. Trustee Palafis.
Maybe as the minority voice, I'm not against it, but I think it requires so many restrictions, with fences and all of the different things that were mentioned in the report, and maybe some additional, that I just don't think there's a lot of areas of town that would accommodate for it. Like, I think in my neighborhood, I can't imagine anybody, there's just not a lot of fences. And a lot of people want free range. And there'd be one, like some areas right up the street here are 0 lot line, so I just don't see, other than maybe a couple of neighborhoods where it could even be done, let alone people that would want to do it. So that's just my feedback.
Anyone else? I guess we've had our discussion. Where do we go from here, Jim?
See if anyone makes a motion.
Since there was a discussion and it would require a motion of the board to move this back for an ordinance to be drafted, since it appears that there is a consensus not to do that, and just go on to the next agenda item.
Okay.
And unless you want to close it with a motion to not do it, but typically that's not what the board does. You move on to the next item.
All right. Without any motion, I will move on to the next item. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we have reports. For information only, we have 3 of them. Planning Division Monthly Report. That'll be received and filed. If no one has any other questions or concerns about that? Yes, we do. Okay, trustee.
A question that I keep getting asked a lot of times, is Bona going to do anything?
Yes, actually, we've been talking to them very recently. They're still getting their construction plans in order, but they actually do plan on still building this year.
Okay,
I'm not
they're
sure
running
how,
out of
but
time.
they are talking about starting very soon.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? All right. Second is Code Enforcement Division Monthly Report. Anybody with any questions or concerns there? That'll be received and filed. And 3 is the Economic Development and Tourism Monthly Report. Any questions for our staff at all? Okay, that'll be received and filed. President's Report.
Yeah, a couple things. Our 9/11 ceremony of remembrance will take place this Wednesday, September 11th at 5 p.m. here at the Village Hall, hosted by the Celebrations Commission. The evening will feature Schaumburg Fire Captain Schneidwin as a guest speaker. Light refreshments will be offered, and all are welcome to attend. They'll have cookies and lemonade as a light refreshments. We have another fire station open house coming up on September 14th at Station 21, 225 Flagstaff Lane. These are always great events, and kids and people get to look at all the equipment and talk with the firefighters, and I think they enjoy it immensely. This past week, I did speak to the third grade at Thomas Jefferson School, and also had the opportunity to stop in at the twins' kindergarten class before that, so that was a good day. Friday the 6th, we had the Blink Cheese Grand Reopening, and the Platts Concert opened on Friday night, and kudos to the Platts Concert Commission for doing another great job. Was that 14 years it's been going on?
Yes, sir. 15,000 people throughout the 3 days.
A lot of people. It's a lot of people. Saturday, we had this Platts concert obviously continued, and we had the fire station open house at Station 24 in Beacon Point out west, and we had block parties on Somerton and a block party on Concord Lane, and of course Sunday, the Platts concert finished up. This morning, I did reading with the mayor at the Hoffman Estates Branch Library on Hassel Road. And we had lunch with the new superintendent of District 15. Some interesting things came up there. They're still looking at the possibility of Thomas Jefferson School up north maybe becoming a junior high. And they're looking at possibly going to a 6, 7, and 8 for middle school, which would open up the room for the 1 through 5 to have the all-day kindergarten, which everybody's interested in. And she went through all the financials, and they have a lot of old buildings in District 15, so they're looking at doing a lot of renovations. So, but it was nice to meet with her. I was very impressed with her, and hopefully things will go well for her and for District 15. That's all I got.
Thank you. We have nothing in other or items in review, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
I'd like to go ahead and call the General Administration and Personnel Committee for the Village of Hoffman Estates for September 9th, 2019. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Arnett.
Present.
Vice Chairman Mills.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Noel.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Can I get approval of the minutes for August 5th, 2019?
So moved.
Second.
Anyone have any questions, corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Nothing in new business, and we will go on to reports for information only. Number 1 is the Cable TV Monthly Report. We will receive and file that one. Number 2 is the Human Resources Management Monthly Report. Anything to add? No. Okay. We will receive and file that one. Number 3, Legislative Operations and Outreach Monthly Report. Okay. We will also receive and file that one. Anything other in the President's Report, Mayor?
Yeah, just one other thing. We've lost a lot of long-time residents in the past week or so. Jerry Newell and Bob Podgorski, and also Selma Barch, who she and her husband, John Mark, have been very active. Sister cities and other commissions in the village, and her memorial service will be at 1 p.m. on Saturday the 14th at the Prince of Peace Lutheran Church on Higgins Road. That's all I got.
Thank you. Anything in other? Trustee Palafis?
I have 2 quick things. Thank you. The first is, you mentioned Platts Concert, Mayor. Next year, 9/11 falls on a Friday. And historically, we haven't done celebrations on days of remembrance. So I didn't know, with that in 2021, which falls on a Saturday, maybe we could incorporate something with 9/11 in the, the weekend. But maybe a discussion or something to be had there. Just wanted to bring it up because, it's growing in popularity. And it'd be good to get out in front of that.
Well, we have done the 9/11 on occasion. When we first started it, we did have it out at the Village Green.
Yeah.
And that would be a possibility to do that.
Yeah.
And we'll have to, obviously, have to sit down and talk with the chairman of celebrations and the members of her committee and your people and figure out what we do.
Yeah, it was, everybody's like, next year. We looked at the dates and I was like, oh, hey,
Could
it'd
we
be good to.
possibly think of, I know originally we started doing the 9/11 first thing in the morning. Maybe it would be something that the committee would want to look at too, especially
Sure.
on the Saturday one.
Sure. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. And then the other thing was I got a lot of calls. I know Barrington Square, you both live there. The celebration in the neighboring commercial area was loud and I think met with some displeasure, just more because it was, going to 10 o'clock at night with some pretty loud music on school nights. So, I think in the summer, people are more patient. But as you get into, later in the year, and I know the state laws and everything that govern sound, are what they are and we enforce. But nevertheless, just wanted to throw that out there and let you all know that I got a few calls from some people that weren't very happy that took videos and sent them to me. And I could share all that with you if you're interested.
Trust me, I got lots of
I'll bet you.
all
I'll bet
week. And I really would ask that if there's a permit process on this, if we could make sure that the neighboring units are made aware of this in the future. None of us were made aware that this was coming up until we saw the tent. I know they do it annually, but nothing was done, and quite a few parents were upset that
Yeah.
when they tried to put their kids to bed those nights, that the sound level was ridiculous.
Right.
So it is part of the special events permit, and as you noted, we have reviewed those each year, and this is the first year that I can remember there being complaints about it,
It's the
but there
first
may
year
have
it really
been.
went into September, too, I
Yeah.
think. Normally
Yeah.
it was in
So
the
if you
summer.
do have them, I'd ask that you do forward them.
Okay.
So we have them, so we can
Okay.
put them in the
I told
file
them to
for
call the
next year.
village.
Yeah, because that will help us when the organizers come in
Yeah.
next year, that we can work on the issue of the hours. And if they're the amplified music, we can also make sure that we have a check on that as well.
From what I was told, there was even a helicopter that came in last night to drop candy. I
That's
don't know
okay,
if-
that explains what I
I don't know
saw.
that we were aware of that. Matt, were
Yeah,
we
that-
aware of that?
Yeah, well, it was there. I heard about it today.
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of candy did they have?
Chocolate bullseyes. Yeah.
I heard it was like around 7:30. I drove by around 7:30, and everybody was outside the tent at that point. And one of my employees did say that she thought it was maybe closer to 7, between 7 and 7:30. So
Yeah.
it was, they could hear the noise, and she lives closer to there and could see it.
No, we appreciate the feedback. It's part of the special events permit, and
Yeah.
we can definitely work on that.
The general complaint I got was drums were loud and
Microphone.
That's part
A
of
lot
the
of-
religious ceremony.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll deal with it next year, but there's a fine line in terms of religious expression and
And then
government regulation.
a lot of it was outside of the tent where I think people thought originally that that stuff would be. So anyway, just throwing it out there.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Anybody else? Okay, no items in review. If I can ask for a motion for an adjournment?
So move.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We are now adjourned.
Moving right along, I'd like to call to order the General Administration and Personnel Committee meeting. I'm sorry, looking at the wrong headline here. The Transportation and Road Improvement Committee meeting for September 9th, 2019. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Chairman Mills.
Present.
Vice Chairman Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Trustee Newell.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Thank you. I look for a motion to approve the minutes of August 5th, 2019.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. New business this evening, number 1. Request approval of an agreement with Wetlands Mitigation of Illinois, LLC, for wetland mitigation credits for the Shoe Factory Road Bicycle Path Project.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Hanky, did you wish to address this at all?
As the project is getting ready to go to the state letting on September 20th, this is one of the paperwork requirements stipulated by IDOT. So everything is in order and according to standard state
Okay,
practice.
this is more or less just a paperwork issue then. And from what I read, the cost to the village is only around $200 for
Correct.
this. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Number 2, review of request for handicap parking space on Summersworth Place.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Anything you wish to address on this one?
I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Trustee Stanton?
Not really a question, just that I noticed that on this street, there had been one previously also a handicap spot.
Correct.
And is this going to be located close to where that had been, or no?
No, that one was down at the end of the street.
Different units.
Okay.
That person moved out. Any
Right.
other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 3, request authorization to award contract for the 2019 preventative maintenance project to Patriot Paving Maintenance of Des Plaines, Illinois, as a low bid in an amount not to exceed $275,000.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Hanky, anything?
This is our annual preventive maintenance project. The scope was expanded somewhat this year to include seal coating of 3 of the fire station lots, which has not been done in a number of years.
Now, just a curiosity question, if they're doing the crack sealing, how long does that usually entail the street to be under construction?
It's a moving operation, so
Okay.
the routing, the cleaning of the crack, and then the sealing is more or less a continuous train.
So within a couple of days or something?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
it depends on the concentration of the number of cracks on any individual segment of street, but it's pretty quick. The surface patching can be a little bit more time intensive, but it likewise is a fairly quick and non-disruptive process as far as traffic flow goes.
Okay, any other questions?
I do have
Trustee
an
Stanton?
observation, I guess. Bodie Road, where the U-turn, or not the U-turn, but the 90-degree turn is there and further down south towards Braintree, cracks are already developing. And what would we do it 4 years ago, or was it 5 years ago that we did?
That was 2015.
4 years ago. So number one, I'm disappointed, but number two, I'm wondering whether or not we can get some sealing on that, or at least someone to look at that to see whether it's worthy of sealing.
Sure, we can do that. And this is, as in, we've done in prior years, we did request an award of contract not to exceed an amount over the low bid amount to allow for contingencies like that as ratings, even though they were done in the spring of this year, things like surface patching, when they actually go out to mark the areas, can sometimes be a little bit larger area to practically treat the space than was originally expected. So similar with crack sealing, we'll take a look at that and see if it seems like it's warranted this year or in a coming year.
Okay, great, thanks.
Anyone else? Seeing no other questions, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Reports for information only. We do have the Transportation Division monthly report. Anything you wish to highlight in that, Mr. Hanky?
No, thanks.
Any questions? Yes, Trustee Palafis.
You know, we always give Public Works the rave, and my neighbors, where you did half of the neighborhood streets resurfacing, are all very impressed by the professionalism of your guys and gals. We got the new road Friday. Even though you sent out the email saying not to drive on it, people still did. But it's beautiful, and a lot of people were really happy because they got to hook up to the storm drainage. So that increases, the visibility and the curb appeal, I think, of their homes, and it reduces a burden. And just wanted to say thank you for all the good work you and your folks do, and pass that along. I got multiple people. I've met new neighbors. Who would have thought it only took a new street, right? I get to know more people on Bordeaux than, when we walk the neighborhoods. So thanks.
Thank you. I'll be sure to share that with the street team.
Anyone else? Okay, that report will then be marked for, accepted for information-only purposes. President's report?
Nothing else.
Is there anything else to come before this committee this evening? We do have one item in review, and that's a discussion of review of Wisconsin Central Limited's proposed railroad track extension between Shoe Factory Road and Spalding Road. Do we have any dates on when that might be coming up? Mr. Norris?
I'm sorry, what?
The item in review, do we have anything of when that might be coming back?
I apologize, I don't have the agenda up. I was trying to pull up on the Ganesh Fest.
Okay.
Let me pull it up right now. Oh, sure. So earlier today, Mr. Hankey did receive part of a letter that the CN sent to the Army Corps. Unfortunately, it referenced a series of
Appendices,
attachments,
yeah.
which were not sent with the letter. So
Oops.
it looks like the CN is trying to respond to the Army Corps, but until we get the attachments, we won't be able to see exactly how they respond. Mike's initial review of it is that they're not truly responding to the Corps. They're basically acting as if their project doesn't cause any of the issues that
course.
people are raising. But again, we want a chance to review
Okay.
the attachments, and we will bring it back.
Okay, let's just make sure we keep, especially that couple that appeared before us.
We have, and we've
informed.
been talking to them.
Okay. All right. That being said, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to call the Special Public Work and Utility Committee to order on this day of September 9th. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Newell.
Present.
Vice Chairman Gata.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Mills.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Under new business, we only have one item. It's request approval of the locations for the 2019 Drainage Improvement Project and discussion of the village drainage policy.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, do we have anything to expound on that one, or just questions if anybody has? Okay, so nobody has, okay, so, moving right along, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion pass. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
No nays, a motion pass, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, ships at sea.